Okay, this is part two of the prologue, epilogue of the start. Part two of the starting lore. First one was interrupted. Now, this is owner's journey to the next town. The next town is basically where you get the better equipment. You get a detailed map. Everything is a little bit better over there. It's basically like the true big city or mid city before you can travel on and start exploring, you know? True stepping stone. So he has to go there. It's the only town close by. And he doesn't have a defined map. Esper, the elder, gave him directions. On his way there, he finds Goblin. So, the big difference between goblins and monsters, there's a lot of races, clans, entities, a lot of cool things. Most 90% of everything that you can think of has a consciousness and isn't barbaric to the point where like they aren't animalistic. I want to give like differentiation. So let's say goblins in this case. The goblin was being attacked by another goblin. Pretty simple. Goblin was being attacked by the goblin. They had an internal fight thing. They can talk. Sometimes not perfectly, but they can talk. They can understand. They can reason, negotiate. And then one of the goblins during this whole like starting arc becomes their friend. Like not friend, but tags along. Because at the start they're not friends. Tags along. So, but I want to do a big distinction here. So there are species, clans, races, whatever you want to say. There's the conscious and they are the unconscious. Now there's the conscious. Even they can be evil too. As you can see, goblins are good and bad. Evil. And then there's the unconscious, which is always evil. So, what's the difference? Every race that was brought up from the top of the world, from the surface, from the origin to the bottom, has a soul. Has something. Even if they're evil, has a soul. Everything created by the dungeon, for the dungeon, throughout the dungeon does not have a soul and only has a one sole purpose to eliminate everything, destroy everything, protect, loot, treasures that the dungeon itself generates. And if it's a boss, if it's a guardian, when they die, if it resets, those monsters come back and sometimes come back stronger or wiser. So that's the thing. So I want to give that big distinction there. So when he sees this, first of all, he's cautious because he doesn't know. He doesn't really. He has seen goblins. He knows they're dangerous, but he also knows that, they can be reasoned or talked to, or at least they're smart enough to avoid each other, avoid unnecessary conflict. So he's a little cautious, and then he sees them take the goblin to their leader, to their goblin leader, and the name, I don't really have a specific name, let's just call him Glutton. You find out why. The point what they're doing is they're going to eat the goblin. So later we find out that while they're taking the goblin, there is a little ruckus, or there's breaks out, and somehow some way gets caught, or somehow some way gets discovered, and there is a fight. So on this fight, he tries to save that goblin who's being eaten. He doesn't really know necessarily why that is. Why is he being eaten? But like through cues of other goblins around and seeing this, he kind of understands that this isn't something that is supposed to happen, or it's right. So kind of like between being caught and stepping in, like it's kind of like ambiguous, like I'm here, I might as well help him out. Like a little too cautious. Our protagonist isn't at the start 100% heroic, but he's not indifferent to injustice. It's like if nobody's gonna step in, then I will do it. Type like that type of personality. Later, he develops something different. So during that side, he tries to beat the Goblin guards, like his henchmen. Tries to beat them. Since it's like 2-on-1 or 3-on-1, it's not a good fight for him. He's not like he is losing, but not horribly. He does need some help. So in that scuffle of, oh shit, I might lose, comes, let's just call him Alex. Alex, I like the name. So Alex comes out. He is a goblin as well. He's a goblin swordsman. Has like relatively long hair. Usually goblins don't have like hair. Don't have a lot of hair. Like a little scuffle. But he has like semi-long hair. And helps him out, so it becomes like a 2v3. Ends up winning, barely, but ends up winning. Alex thanks them for saving, or trying to step up for saving this person. Obviously the protagonist says, don't worry about it, and that's when we know more about the situation, that they are scarce in food. They're actually thinking about, raiding the nearby village, which is his village, but they know they're not strong enough to beat the chief or to beat the warriors over there. But basically, so that's why they resorted to eating the weakest, or eating those who don't bring their share of food to the community. Like, oh, you didn't bring enough valuables, you're weak, let's eat you up, and so on and so forth. So the leader is this big ass goblin, almost like roughly like 10 times bigger than an orc, like a huge. If you remember the challenge he had to go through to become a warrior, which he failed in, that challenge had a monster as well. Think of him as like 5 times bigger, like relatively bigger, like big guy. So big and fat. He's obese. He is somewhat athletic. He can jump, which catches people by surprise. Like running, he can't really run, but he can jump. That's how he catches people who are relatively quick. And he is big. He has a big wingspan too. So he finds out that Glutton, the elder, the goblin leader, is doing what he's doing, eating people, being a horrible leader, and forcing people to do his bidding. And Alex basically asks for his help. Alex has a brother, which is, let's just say his name is Friend. He ends up being the protagonist's friend going forward. Let's just call him Alex brother, or bro. So Alex bro and Alex dude, Alex comma dude, and the protagonist, and a couple of goblins, like a small little rebellion, basically try to confront Glut. The protagonist agrees, only because, one, it's on his way, and two, Alex promised to reward him in some way, or help him reach his destination, because here's the thing, the elder gave him the wrong path. So the elder, he should have gone like a right in actuality, but he went a left. So he's very far away from where he has to be. So he basically needs help to get where he is. So it's basically, I help you, you help me. He has basically no other choice. It would be too dangerous to wander around without, like, he could get lost and they'll be there for weeks, and then he'll die from being too weak to fight against another monster. So he goes in there. He decides to help. One, out of goodness his heart, and also two, because it's a mutual thing. And then boom, they start fighting. Now Alex's bro, or dude, the dude, is very different from Alex. Alex is very heroic, righteous, extroverted, wants to do things right, outspoken, activism, stuff like that. The dude is more chill. He's more characteristic of a goblin. He's more greedy, because some stereotypes are relatively true. Like goblins are greedy overall, and he's basically in that stereotype. He's greedy. He doesn't mean like they're all evil or bad, but he's greedy. So he's just greedy and selfish. He's not a bad guy because that's why he's in the rebellion. He's more similar to the protagonist, where it's the protagonist has more good in his heart than him. He's more like, well, if I do this, we might become the leaders, and I'm gonna have to eat shit like I've been doing recently. And things have to change. And my bro wants me to help, so I'll do it. So the three of them plus the other goblins start the battle. Very close, very clutch. Obviously, the protagonist loses. Obviously, there's a loss because he's like 5 times bigger than the other beast, and the beast was like really strong. So he's like, "Damn, what do I do?" Now kicks in. One of the protagonists is like, I would say, powers or trademarks. So another reason why he wants to recover his dad's sword is because it's said that swords or weapons carry the soul of the fallen heroes. And somehow, some way, he has a connection, like a sort of stronger connection than most people to fallen heroes. Like, now their swords become, in a sense, blessed, or weapons become blessed either with magic powers or just overall strengthening boost. So during this fight, he finds a sword, and he basically comes to a kind of like a vision state, like a meditation state when he encounters a sword. So he's losing, his sword broke. He finds, like, through the open walls of the battlefield, they broke a couple walls, got thrown through a wall, whatever. Finds a sword, and then it's nothing crazy, not like crazy powers, but basically he was able to learn that fighting style of that sword, and the sword is of good quality. So that small little boost helps them kind of get a little bit more hope in, and with that little bit more hope, Alex starts to believe a little bit more, and refuses to back down and lose. And that's when he starts activating one of the powers that we'll see in the future. But let's just say he also gets like a small little boost. He starts glowing white, like some lines of white, and then just strengthen him ever so slightly. And now the goblins all around him, seeing this, recognize it's a symbol of power, or a symbol of purity, like heroic, like purity. Like, oh, they have a different name for it. Let's just say they give like a random name. I don't know, Goomba, Aura, Push Blue, whatever. They have like, oh my god, da 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 da, da da da. Like, oh my god, wow. And you're like, oh, I'll probably never see this power again. And you're wrong. So do something like that, and between the two of them, and with Dude's help by throwing arrows at the goblin's face, we're able to kill him, defeat him. Alex becomes the new leader, and yeah, things start going up for the little goblin town. Now, when he's about to embark on his journey, he asks his brother Dude to take him to where he has to go. Now, Alex tells the protagonist if he can take Dude along with him to basically give him more strength and basically teach him the ways. There's still a lot of things he'd like to learn from the outside world, but he is now the duty of chief and basically he has to stay there. And dude doesn't really want to, but he also is curious of him acquiring more power and being strong. Especially because after seeing what his brother did, he's like, I wonder how I can do that or acquire such strength. And he knows that the only way out there is, following this guy. So following this guy and, tagging along. He knows like they're stronger in numbers than not, so that's why he sticks around. And plus so they set off to the next town. And that's basically like the starting point. The starting route from starting lake to Goblin City. And now we're going to the new city. Let's just call it Spawn Town. Yeah, like Spawn Point 1, like Spawn Town, whatever. So now they're heading towards Spawn Town. And this is where there's a big city and there's a lot of humans, there's a lot of monsters, but there's still some racism involved. Like they still don't like goblins, so that's why he's they shun them. They don't like, but yeah, they shun them. They're like a little bit of racist toward them, so that's why he's like covered up. You don't really see that much. And yeah, they go to bars, basically trying to get investigate, try to get quests, try to get money, try to get loot, so they can stock up and do like a game plan. During that whole stock up thing, they bump into the rival, they see the rival, and then later on the rival discovers that, oh, what are you doing? Oh, the protagonist left without the protocol. Like, hey, you're supposed to stay there. Why are you here? This and that. So it's obviously quite furious. And the rival is with Hamilton. So that's when they see. So the rival partner has his own little partner thing. They usually come to these small towns, spawn towns, or bigger towns to go to the guild or go to like the adventurous thing, or like the Dragonik expedition squads, and partner up to do exploration, investigation, fighting boss and everything. So they partner up. The rival partnered up with a guy named Hamilton. That's the first introduction to him. So the two just are there. Now from here I'm a little not stuck, but I want to create a story where at the end of the day the rival, Hamilton, the Goblin, and the rival Hamilton, the Goblin, and the protagonist, the four of them, decides to join a party. So there must be a problem or an obstacle or something that cannot be achieved unless they decide to work together. So that's where I want to think about and reminisce and discuss. So for now I have from Starting Lake to Spawn Town, and now we are at the Spawn Town where they reunite. And now from Spawn Town I want to do another town or another obstacle. So I'm at that point right there. I do have a lot more things in the future. Like I already have up here. So all this part, there's 5 parts to the story. I'll give that in a second. So 5 parts to the story. Number 1 is journey along with my friends. That's where we do all the group gathering. That's why this is important that we do this. Group gathering, knowing your limits, and then comes part 2. So there's 5. Part 2, I don't want to spoil, but part 2 is basically kind of like reuniting the gang in a way and getting stronger, recognizing weakness. Basically, number 2 is like training arc and recovering. Number 3 would be I don't really want to spoil too much, but basically that's how it's going to go. Number 3 is kind of like the big bad that we have to fight in order to just politics stuff. Big bad you have to fight. Number 4 it would be reuniting the gang again, but I would say like in a tournament. This is the tournament to decide, or the final expedition, because they have a kind of like a lockdown of where Dragonik might be. And number 5 is obviously the big fight, fighting, destroying, winning, or whatever the dragon it might be, and happy ending. So those are like the 5 things. Right now, each time it gets shorter and shorter. The first one is very important. I want to get this right because I want to just build the story, build the lore, build the fantasy, world building. This is the big one where there's like a bunch of cool information, da 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 da, very important. And then it comes to everything that's more like action packed. That okay, you have with all the knowledge from part 1, we're not gonna add more knowledge. We're just gonna use that knowledge to fill in the gaps for this. Build upon that. So I'm gonna think about what I have to do for obstacles for the next step, and then I'll get back to you.